Because motherhood is chaos. It's chaos. It's great. It's the best and worst thing ever, but it is absolute chaos. So how can I sit there to support you and simplify it and not add more stress? I want to take away that stress, but in a way that you can be both mom and Tori. You know, you don't have to choose. And that's the real cool part.
Welcome to DFW Grit. I'm Dr. James Taylor and I'm your host, and this is more than just a podcast. We dive into the stories of the movers, the shakers, the small business owners, the entrepreneurs, right here in the DFW Metroplex. This is your home for authentic, real stories that prove what happens when you don't back down. Let's get to work. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Once again, Dr. Taylor here with another episode of DFW Grit. Today, joined by Miss Tori Whitaker. And I was telling her before we got on the story, telling you before we got on the story, just going through your bio and stuff. Like it seems like a wild journey. And I'd like to put this out there. By all means, correct me if I'm wrong, but it strikes me that you seem to be on like your fourth life.
Yeah, something
give or take.
Yeah.
Like we always start off with like we always start with it with an origin story. Just a quick bio: college gymnast. Did whatever people do after college. Yep. Got a big girl job and quit it. Yep. Moved across the country, had some kids. Had a husband or a spouse or partner, and he's not in the picture anymore. No. Sounds like for good reason. Yeah. And now an identity coach. Like it's fourth, fifth, sixth life. Like
at least.
Can you tie those together for me? Like sure. It's one thing to read an Instagram bio or a LinkedIn profile, but to live it, like
So I was a collegiate athlete. I was a captain of my gymnastics team. I was coaching for 16 years. I was, the thing I thought you're supposed to do after, you graduate, you find the Mr., you get married, you date for a while, you set yourself up like that. You're looking for a husband, right? And I did. And I thought that's what you're supposed to do. That imploded horribly wrong. It ended up being a DB marriage. Left, no questions asked. There's still a restraining order in place. So that's not anything that needs to come with me. Then I was like, all right, cool. What do I do? I can't be a teacher, which I was pursuing education, right? So I was like, I can't be a teacher and live on that in New Jersey. It's just above poverty, but below livable, right? So I switched, I was in a shelter. Then I was in a girlfriend's house in her guest room, just trying to rebuild myself and figure us out. So I went from coaching gymnastics full time to personal training. Got into a boutique gym, really well renowned, was a top performer there. The world shut down.
Oh.
So then I was like, oh yeah, why wouldn't I jump and create my own business? Because I just felt this pull and this need for moms to have a place of support that I never had. And so I was like, forget it. If you build it, they will come. So in the middle of, 2021, I left my security. Now I have 2 kids in tow. And that one imploded horribly wrong. He had a completely separate life that I had no idea.
Oh.
We worked together, we lived together, and I didn't know until his wife called me. So that is also that was another one. We just left that one behind too.
Fair.
And and then I created Better After Baby, and that's my other baby. And this is really just more of a movement to eradicate this whole martyr mom mentality where you have kids and that's the end. That's the end of your life. You're supposed to give up your body, you give up your time, you give up everything for these kids. But I wanted to counter, like, what after those 18 years, who are you when you look in the mirror if you didn't figure out who you were going through it?
Yeah.
I would argue the kids are the launch pad of your life, not the end, right? So did all that. That's where I kind of am. I just picked up and moved across the country and moved to Texas about 2 months ago.
Oh, damn.
And so here we are.
That's 2 months ago.
Yeah, we moved in June.
That's crazy.
Yes, it is.
So it's, yes, it is. Yes, you're right. So I say this tongue in cheek, outside the podcast, chiropractor, right? And so I'll have pregnant women that come in here and, as I'm helping them, through pregnancy, it's completely tongue in cheek in that like, oh, I'll never know that joy. I'll never, know what it's like. Sure. But I've got 2 kids of my own, first grade and third grade. And she won't be mad at me for saying this. My wife was not the poster child for pregnancy. Yeah. She was not the I'm doing something great and grand and wonderful. Yeah. It was right after conception, it got bad. Conception was great. Yeah. But even then, had a real rough bout with postpartum depression and stuff. But when she finally came out, and even as the guy, what can I do? And her answer is always, I don't know. Yeah. but she was able to pull herself out of it. And I was telling you, she started her own thing too. And it's truly wild to see, like, when somebody finds their calling, especially like after having kids. Because you're right, like it was, we were supposed to get married and we did, and we are supposed to have kids and we did. And then she's like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah, now what?
Am I just supposed to go back to my 9 to 5? But I just got to, raise these kids, and there's nobody's telling us what to do. Like,
there's no help in the books anyway.
No, none.
No.
So like going off of all that and just truly into the unknown, like it really was a bit of an identity crisis. And
100%.
we are talking beforehand, like I really like that. Did you come up with that? Did you how did you come up with the identity coach aspect of it? Because like it's truly what so many, like not even necessarily just postpartum women, just fucking adults are looking for.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So that's a fair question. So I would always say hindsight's always 2020. I feel like there's always like a gut response. Even when I was registering my LLC, I'm like, better after baby. I like alliteration. I connect with moms. It sounds good.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't put much thought into it, except that like this should be my niche. I really connect with them, right? I didn't have the, let's call it, luxury of losing myself. I was all my kids had. We are in a state where we're not within 1,000 miles of any family. And I'm like, I'm going to make this work and I'm going to show them they can do anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said, then when I started going forward, I was like, I came into training, right? And I'm training and I do nutrition, I do mindset, and then I do training. And I'm thinking with each of these niches within my overarching umbrella, each of these moms needs all three pieces, right? So it was sort of this natural evolution. Better After Baby is coming up on 4 years now. So, I was doing the training, then I was doing these little separate pieces. It's only in the last probably year and a half that I really started to put it together. Like, no, we need all three pieces of this pie. Otherwise, you're missing stuff.
Yeah.
Without the mindset, it doesn't matter if you have a good nutrition plan or a training plan. Without the habits and the boundaries and everything, it doesn't matter. It's nil. So with all that being said, it's really kind of come into this natural evolution. I would say only within the past 6 months when I've moved and I have a lot more downtime because I'm kind of recreating everything here, being in Jersey 20 years and shifting my business across the country.
Yeah.
That I was like, no, it's not. I'm not just a trainer. I'm not just a nutrition coach. I'm not just a mindset coach. And, like we were speaking on, I'm not a life coach. People will respectfully be like, you sound like a life coach. Like, you're great. And I received that. But I'm like, it's not about life. It's your identity during, after motherhood, in all the phases, empty nesters, let's say, because even I'm sure your wife probably can empathize. My body after my first kid looked like this. My body after my second kid looked like this. There was never going back. It never looked, it was a different version at each time. So as moms, we're forced into this natural evolution. And we forget up here, this is like the steering wheel. So we're just sitting passenger, like, where am I going? What am I doing? But if we can lock that in, I don't know, that's where the magic is going to happen for me. If I could do it, and I started in a battered women's shelter with absolutely nothing 10 years ago, and I'm here where passion meets purpose, like, I'm going to collapse this time for my moms. I'm going to show them how simplified it can really be because motherhood is chaos. It's chaos. It's great. It's the best and worst thing ever, but it is absolute chaos. So how can I sit there to support you and simplify it and not add more stress? I want to take away that stress, but in a way that you can be both mom and Tori. You don't have to choose. And that's the real cool part.
I mean, that's that last part there. I think that's huge. Like you don't have to choose. No. Like you could, and this sounds cheesy and cliche. Like it's not necessarily like you can have them both, or you can have it all, or you can be it all. You can just be, and still be able to do all these things. Like it's fun talking to you, simply because, like I said, like I've seen my wife go through this exact progression and this exact kind of come up, if you will. And again, she'll be the first to tell you how this podcast is all about you and her. I'm just a bystander. But she'll literally be the first to tell you, like, the moment she started doing things for herself, like her life took off, her business took off when she started to put herself first. And I say that, as one of her cheerleaders, not as a forgotten husband or something like that. Because that was the thing too. Like, I didn't feel forgotten throughout any of that. I didn't feel abandoned or ignored. It was like, hell yeah, like she's doing the fucking thing. Like, it's incredible. Like, but what do you, in your respect, what was your kind of, I'll say turning point. And that's not the word I want to use, but like you were kind of forced into it. Like this, it's got to be me, right?
Yes. Yes. So, the first time I became a single mom, my son was 6 months old. My husband at the time, it had been a slow leak, let's say. It wasn't always like this. It wasn't like something I got into knowing how it would end. It was really only when it got so bad with my son in tow, that's when that mommy, that primal, you see red, somebody looks at your kid wrong, like that feeling. It's when he put his hands on me. I was holding our son.
Oh. And
I was like, we're done. Like that was it. Like, it's going to be him next and I'm going to end up in jail. Like, not being funny, but like, this is over. So I'm thrown into new motherhood. I'm now a single mother. I'm in New Jersey. My whole family lives in Atlanta. I've got no lifeline. So to long way home, I was not forced into it. I was thrown into the deep end. Like swim, right? And respectfully, I could have gone home. But for me, it was like, no, why do I have to give up? Why do I, like, you can do anything you set your mind to, right? And I had that safety net and I was so blessed that I did have that. But I was just like, I've created my life here too. Why should I have to go? So with that, not only can you not lose yourself because I'm all this kid has, like quite literally, but in that, kind of like, I guess, your wife is seeing, the more you put yourself first, it's not selfish. It actually empowers you to take on all the responsibilities of motherhood, being a partner, being a business owner, whatever it was at the time, or just working. It actually highlighted the things that you're already good at, but instead of pouring from that empty cup that we always talk about as moms, you're filling your cup so you can keep pouring. Like, it's very counterintuitive the way society kind of presents it, right? So, all that to say, I had to still be me. I still had to keep going because I am not only his lifeline, I am his supporter, I am his voice, I am his role model, and I'm going to make this work because I know that I'm not going to be a statistic. I know that I'm not going to repeat this cycle, and I'll be damned if he repeats it. So, it becomes bigger than you as well. So you really have to pour into yourself.
So what do you think? Because again, like you said, you were thrown into it. Even women who aren't necessarily thrown into, just from the identity standpoint, like because there's something to hold on to be the one that organizes everything, for lack of a better word, right? If mom stops, this falls apart. That falls on me. So if I focus on me, then how do you help your clients get over that mindset where like I don't have the time to focus. It's not that I don't have the ability, I don't have the time, because if I stop with this, then that's going to fall apart, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, there's a lot of just questions that you kind of bring reality back into it, because you do fall into this spiral of like, I have to do this and I have to do logistics and I have to do this. But, let's say you have a partner, a supportive husband or partner, whatever that looks like. I mean, they were there when the baby, we got there together, right? And you trust this person to be not only the role model, but also your supporter, the kid supporter. Asking for help and divvying up these things actually not only brings you closer, right, as a partner, but also takes the load off you. And so I'll challenge a lot of the beliefs of like, do you trust your husband to watch him so you can get your nails done? Right? And they're like, well, that's such a silly question. But when you say it out loud, and you get them to say it, you're like, right. What happens if you try this? And we start with baby steps. What happens if you're like, no, every Friday at this time, I'm going to read a book in the kitchen? Like, it is baby steps. But even just little things that kind of challenge whatever narrative we've created in our own mind, which, by the way, the husband isn't like she has to do everything most of the time.
Right.
So this is like created in our spirally postpartum brain. Totally. But when you challenge these notions, you kind of realize these aha moments. Actually, when I create these boundaries and I don't have to say yes to everything and drain myself, I'm a more patient mom. Like I said, I'm a better partner. I'm a better mom. I'm a better worker, a better spouse, whatever it is. It actually pours back into you. So just challenging these little things that they think of, right? Really push that envelope. And once you start to feel that positive momentum, you're like, oh, this is much better. I do like going to concerts. I do like doing these things. I don't like to go to 9 parties in a weekend. And my kids are overstimulated and overscheduled, by the way. So everybody's happier when we do less.
Yeah.
So the simplifying, that's the big one.
One of the better decisions my wife and I feel that we've made is we do staycations every couple of months, and like we'll just go into Fort Worth, or we'll just get one night at the Omni or something like that. And because we've got a small set of babysitters who are cool watching the kids overnight, And I mean, the first time we did it, it's like, they're gonna, but then after that, like, it's truly just become, 100%, literally just to kind of step away, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
But from her standpoint, like, this was her idea. Like, she literally had to pull me away to go do it. I'm building this business, and she's, so I mean, it's certainly not a field dominated mindset just to be like, it all has to be on me.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely something that, like, I feel like people in general can get kind of sucked into. If I saw a meme the other, I think I sent it to her. There's, like, therapist goes, "What happens if you take a break?" And then my response, "Well, society collapses." Like, like we have this crazy feeling, like, it truly does all, like, revolve around us all the time, and then we end up ignoring ourselves.
We're not that special.
And then all of a sudden we
don't have that much control over the, like, the way the world spins. We don't. And you'll see when you go away that night, right? Like, nothing happened and everybody was fine.
Yep.
Right? It sounds so silly, but, like, until you push yourself outside of that norm that you've created, that little, like, jail almost you've created for yourself, you're like, oh, I actually really like my spouse. And it was nice before we had kids. And remembering that too, I think that's another one I like to challenge my couples with, because it is a very taboo thing to say. You come first, not the kids. You come first. You come first. You are not only their eyes, you are their model. You are showing them what you want them to create, after you as adults, whatever, how you want your daughter to tolerate, or what your son to, whatever it is. Right. And a lot of people are like, no, the kids have to do this, kids have to do this. But again, you get 18 summers and then you're looking at your husband like, I don't even know who you are. Who are you again? That's a terrifying feeling for a lot of people that I don't wish on anybody, right? Yeah. So if you can control that part of it, which is yourself, come to your point, you're saying you're watching her, you're in such awe. It almost then inspires you. You start mirroring each other. It's not separating or isolating when, you work on you and you work on you. It almost brings you back together as this, like, power couple. I hate to say, like, the cheesy line, but it makes you guys even stronger. And the kids see that. So you're setting them up for success. It's just a cool ripple effect of, like, throwing that stone in the pond.
I mean, they say more is caught than taught, for damn sure.
100%.
So how do you, I guess, speaking of, let's say the husbands, do you ever get pushback from husbands when you're working with wives?
That's a fair question. So ironically, no. I'll usually get the wife that's like, I have to ask my husband. And you're kind of like, again, challenging that. Does your husband support you on this journey? Which, of course, the wife will say, of course, but they don't feel the self-worth to even ask.
Interesting.
So that's what I have come. That was more of my East Coast women. I couldn't say the demographic here because I don't have enough yet in the arsenal. But typically it was the stay-at-home moms. Husbands are really hardworking. They're the homemakers, which, listen, I couldn't tie their sandals. I couldn't do it. So bless these women, truly. And that's from a single mom, right? So I'm like, nope, you're amazing. But a lot of times it's sort of the martyr mom that I have to break through, where it's like, oh, I can't. This one has OT. This one has this one has this. And then you see they're renovating their entire house, and their house is $1 million, right? And you're like, it's a self-worth issue. It's not usually a husband issue. No, because the husband is almost always the first one to be like, hell yes. Get her feeling good. She's been moody. She's been this. Like, I wouldn't say it to her, but like, I want you to help support her. And I've had husbands reach out. I want you to work with my wife. And that sounds good in theory, but unless she's got the willingness she's the one who reaches out. Okay, I can do this. I'm worth it. Until we can get you out of that little cycle. Yeah, it's not usually the pushback from the husbands, in my experience. And I've been doing this almost a decade.
Maybe I just kind of fell into a little bit of a stereotype there, in that, like,
no,
if you take my wife away and you teach her to think for herself, how dare you?
No. And I've actually had a couple clients that I worked with, specifically nutrition, that I'm like, be careful, because we're going to lose this weight. You're going to start feeling like yourself. We're going to create these habits and boundaries. And 3 of them ended up pregnant again. So that would be what I would think is the only backfire, but it's not, because, like, bless them in their abundance. Like, that's amazing. But I'm like, bitch, come on. Like,
start all over again.
But also, I've had the wives that come to me and they're like, we're going for our third. Can you get me into this shape now? I'm like, honey, we've been doing it. Of course I can. And then, they put their trust in me. The husband's totally on board. And ironically, or coincidentally, the husbands sometimes end up training with me because they see how well their wife is doing.
Oh yeah.
I do still coach male.
That's awesome.
The husbands, which is awesome. Because now you have both parents separately working on themselves. Again, just continuing to know who they are throughout this crazy ride of parenthood.
So when you're bringing people in, then like, are you onboarding them like under or in each of those sections, the mindset, the physical, and the nutrition, or are people kind of coming in one area and then bleeding into the other ones?
More the latter than the former. They'll come in with one specific, and then they'll realize, like with nutrition, they're like, oh, but I got to work out too. And I'm like, awesome. So now you have the foundation we've already laid. Now we can pivot. But also it segues into like, if you want to just knock this out and have all three so you can really make it the most efficient and really collapse that time, here's my offer with all three. So I do still have the a la carte options if that's, I'm not a pressure seller. I also don't see myself as anyone in sales. I have something to help you, right?
Yeah.
I'm supporting you. I've done it on my business card. I wouldn't sell you anything I haven't tried myself. I'm not that girl. And you can see that very easily, not only through my social media, but if you know me or if you hear anybody, that's talked about me. You meet me, I'm very polarizing. You either love me or I'm not for you. And I'm cool with that. Like, I usually have dreads in right now. I've got a lot of
I saw that. I was surprised when you walked through the door.
I have a hair appointment on Thursday, so I couldn't. But that's me. And that's who I was before kids. And my kids just get it. Like, and I'm involved and I take them to soccer and I drive them to school. For me, it's not about the big thing in my business is not or, it's and. Stop choosing. Because why can't two things be true at the same time? They can. We know this, like logically. So I am Tori. I like, Incubus and rocker stuff. And,
yeah.
Absolutely. All the 90s alt rock. My kids love Red Hot Chili Peppers. Super proud moment. There's no Swifties in my house. But on the other hand, like I'm still a rock star mom and I'm there for them and I'm in the trenches with them. After my full-time job, I pick them up from school and, you get to do both. Like you get to, right? I don't have to. Like this is just awesome. And so when I can help my moms just realize that you don't have to drown in motherhood, you can thrive. Like that switch, that's when I'm like most proud. When the mom is like, I get it now.
Like you're right though, and it's not or, it's and it's going off the identity thing. Like, hey, this is who you are. From again this chiropractic standpoint, like so my tattoos, real quick, I started up here. And the reason being was because I thought like, well, if I could just wear the cover of a golf shirt. And then I got this one next because, well, I can just, if I get hot, I can wear my sleeves up. And then I ended up just getting all of these. And it's fun to see because I wear shirt and tie Monday through Thursday. And then on Fridays, I'm just in here in a polo and people see a full sleeve and they're like, no way. Like I had no idea. And then like, it's practice got a lot more fun. When I stopped hiding my tattoos, both realistically and metaphorically. It's and not only practice, but like going back to just the motherhood thing too. Like the sooner, and not even just mother, just people in general, the sooner people can like realize who they are and who they like to be, whatever it is you're doing gets so much easier. But there's just why
less to juggle.
Yeah.
You don't have these masks. You're like, this is me. Like, you're my people. Like, I love you.
Your lives to keep track of.
If not, like, also, I wish you the best and one less thing for me to worry about.
Right.
Like, I'm not for everybody. I'm not tequila. I'm not for everybody. Right. So, and that's cool. Once you accept that, like, to your point, you're like, this is me. And then you're like, almost this free feeling, right? Like, this is me. It doesn't take away from, I'm sure your talent in the chiropractic field and your business and the success of that. And you can still be you, right? You can parallel this 100%.
Now, did you make that decision right after the first husband? Like, okay, this is going to be me now, or is that still something that you found yourself having to take off little pieces before you?
I think
kind of owned
the
it.
The catalyst was my husband, right? And so I remember
that's awesome.
Like I had like just this tattoo and like just this one I could cover because I was going into teaching, and in 2012 it was a lot different. You couldn't have all these tattoos. Fair. You couldn't have these things. And I wanted to get my nose pierced, and he was like, "It is so tacky. It is so this." It was very just like confining me in a box. And I'm like, "You met me. I had blue extensions. We were partying. I've always had earrings. Like, you know who I am. Why are we now that you know me, now we're trying to shrink it?" And I did not like that feeling at all. So first thing I did when I got divorced, I got my nose pierced.
Oh yeah.
And then I had my other kid and I got, more tattoos. And I was just like, and then I found my calling in training. And I was like, oh, this makes much more sense. Like I said, that like just natural evolution. But I was like, this is always who I've been. And next summer or next fall, I'm getting a whole leg sleeve. I'm not stopping. I just turned 40. I don't care. Like, what does that have to do with anything? I'm living, right?
Is this next summer, or do you have the leg sleeve?
No, next summer. Next summer. I know. Next summer.
The thought crossed my mind, but man, something about behind the knee that just.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna suck.
Yeah.
But the shin was trash, so I feel like if I could get through that, like, we're good. I also pushed 2 kids out with no drugs because
okay, fair enough.
Just do it.
Like I said, I'll never know that joy.
Yeah, God bless you for that. The catalyst was really my ex-husband. My second partner, we weren't married, for my daughter's father. But same thing. He would kind of put me in this box where he's like, "Oh, you can't go to these galas with me. You don't have the look." Ironically, he was tatted from neck to shin, and it was kind of like, it was just a very mental. It was a different strain of abuse, but not that kind of kept me going. Of like just these reminders. The universe was always like, "Just be you. Like, just be you." So again, I think, long way home it was a natural progression. It really started with my husband, was like, don't get face piercings, don't get this. He comes from a family of 4. He had a gold retriever named Goldie, white picket fence, absolute shit inside of the family, but like, it looks buttoned
naturally.
Perfect. Right, exactly. So you're like, why am I putting this is me. This is who I want to be. This is how who I am. I just want to be me. Right. And so that really continued through both failed relationships, but I got 2 awesome kids out of it. So I'd do it again in a heartbeat. So I know people always ask me, they're like, "Oh, that sounds rough." I'm like, "Yeah, it sucked." But I got 2 really awesome things out of 2 really shitty situations. And it also led me right here, right? Where I finally figured out my purpose and my passion. And now I can combine them. I have nothing to complain about.
I mean, it's a cheesy line, but I think there's 100% truth in it. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
No, I love it. I freaking love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if people want to work with you, how would they find you?
Super active on social media, Facebook, and Instagram for sure. I'm trying to spruce up my LinkedIn and really get a little bit more traction there as well.
Both.
Just so people, from the business standpoint, instead of the ones that like to see my story and they like to see how I live authentically, and they do take pieces from that even without training me, and they have used it to change their lives, which I'm still super grateful for. But yeah, big one on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Tori K. Witt. Sorry about that. Yep, Tori K. Witt. It's public. You can get an idea before you even, shop before you buy. Yeah.
And then in person, online, hybrid.
So if they're within the area, I'm happy to do it in person. Hybrid absolutely is better, honestly, for the scheduling, but people like to kind of see how I am in person, which I totally respect. So then we'll go and operate from there, because then I fit better into your schedule than you fitting better into mine, right? It really does make it easy for my moms. But yeah, a lot I can do in person. I can do online. I can do, a little hybrid of both, kind of a jack of all trades. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Tori, I appreciate the time. This was fantastic. This was like I said, I expected a great conversation, and my expectations were met.
I appreciate that.
So again, guys, make sure you like, share, follow this stuff. Check her out. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn's on the it's up there. I found it.
It's there.
Like I said, you and I
government name,
post
Victoria
more
Whitaker.
there.
You'll find me there. But yeah, anything on there.
Awesome. You guys, you have a great rest of your day. Like I said, like, share, follow, and we'll catch you on the next episode of DFW Grit. We'll see you later.